Hey, I'm Deontay Jenkins, and here's what's on my mind: composition and how to tell stories with it. But before we get into that, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. If you think this video is cool, make sure you give it a like. If you have anything you want me to talk about, make sure you drop a comment down below. You can check out my latest short film here, and make sure you check out some of the other videos we have on the channel. And now that that's out of the way, composition. We all know the basics of composition, right? Wide shot, medium shot, close-up, extreme close-up, low and high angles, and everything in between. But that's the easy stuff. How do you compose an image that's both aesthetically pleasing and tells a good story? Start by learning some composition rules, the most common of which is the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is when you divide the screen in 6 equal parts, the image becomes more powerful when you place your subject on one of the intersecting lines, meaning here, 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 or here. It'll automatically make your image look more appealing. But also you want to keep in mind putting your horizon on either the top or the bottom line also helps the image become more compelling. Doing this can show somebody's importance, can show conflict, and really just draw your eye to the subject. Now, the rule of thirds is derivative from the golden ratio, which is another tool of composition. The golden ratio is a perfect ratio. Every so often you'll see in the news that science says that X celebrity is the most beautiful person on the planet. What they mean by that is their facial proportions are the most aesthetically pleasing according to the golden ratio. It's a mathematical thing that we won't get into. Basically, if you put your subject right here, it becomes pleasing to the eye and mathematically perfect. Meaning if you divide the image in half, starting at the largest going to the smallest, it would fit perfectly. And you can see this done throughout art of all kinds. Not gonna lie though, it can be a bit confusing. So there's a simpler way to do it. It's called the phi grid. It kind of looks like the rule of thirds, but it's a bit more tight. The goal with the phi grid is to put something right here. If you fit your subject in one of these 4 squares, then it does pretty much the same thing as the golden ratio. Another derivative of the golden ratio is the golden triangle. Diagonally cut your image in half, and you have a line come straight up or down from the corners and connect to that diagonal line. Now, triangles are a perfect framing device. You see it everywhere from art to movie posters to photography. It's everywhere. And that's because it's a very clear level of importance. The top of the triangle is where you want your audience typically to be looking. Or you can lead the vision from the top to the bottom of the triangle by making everybody focus on what's down there. You can see triangular framing, the phi grid, the golden triangle, and the golden ratio all throughout art and cinema. One thing you typically want to do is have your frame be balanced. If something is powerful on one side of the frame, you want something to be balancing it out on the other side. If not, it can be a bit disorienting to the viewer. Sometimes, however, that's what you want. Like here, this image is purposely off balance to show the off balance nature of the character. You can balance the image with another person, with inanimate objects, or anything in the scenery around them. Another great way to balance an image is by having depth. You have something in the foreground and have something in the background. Check it out here in Pulp Fiction.
No, man.
Probably the most famous use of depth in cinema is through Citizen Kane. That's because rather than using the typical shallow depth of field that most filmmakers seek, Orson Welles decided to use very deep focus by having very high apertures. So you can very clearly see the background and the foreground.
You're fired.
And he used that to compose images that tell his story better. A lot of people don't have balanced images, and having a balanced image easily makes your image more eye-pleasing. The whole goal of composition is to get people's eyes to where you want them to be. That's why directors and cinematographers need to know composition very well to get the viewer's eye where they want it to be. One great way to do that is by center framing. It is exactly how it sounds. You put your subject directly in the center of the frame. The master of this was Stanley Kubrick. He loved one-point perspective center framing. But the modern master has to be Wes Anderson. Look at some of these perfectly balanced center framed images by Wes Anderson. Notice that your eye goes exactly to the middle of the frame first. That comes from the composition of the image. Another way to draw the viewer's eyes is by having a frame within a frame. We already have this frame, right? But if you put another frame in it, it automatically draws the eye to what's in between that extra frame. One of the most famous examples of this is in The Searchers, here at the beginning and at the end of the film. But it doesn't always have to be a square frame. Spielberg likes to do it with circles. It softens the image but also does the same effect. It can also be done with a triangle, like this image from The Graduate. Sometimes you need to block out all the extra space in the image and just focus on one particular space. Now the final composition rule I want you to know is leading lines. Leading lines draw your eye. You can have your subject placed anywhere on the screen and have lines leading up to them to draw the viewer's eye. Check it out here. Or here. Or here. Notice how the lines lead up to the subject, causing your eye to follow the line all the way to where the subject is. These are very useful tips for framing an image. Composing with these rules can add conflict, can make a character seem larger than life, can make a character feel like the world is swallowing them up. It can show importance. It can show the lack of importance. It can show somebody's subjective thoughts. It can make someone look beautiful. It can make someone look terrible. But if you use these, I guarantee it'll make your images more compelling and allow you to tell your story better. This isn't crap that I made up. This is stuff that has been used in art for centuries. So next time you're composing an image, try to use one of these rules and see what you get. I promise you, your images will be better for it. But then again, what do I know? Thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Give this video a like if you haven't already. You can follow me here on social media. Make sure you keep telling stories, and I will see you next time. Peace.